Hi, my name is John Dyke and I'm with Rockwell Automation. I'd like to take the next few minutes to share with you Rockwell Automation's vision for the connected enterprise. This is our industrial Internet of Things and scalable analytics story for operations. Just as a brief overview of Rockwell Automation, we're roughly $6 billion in sales in 2016. We're a global company and we're the world's largest company dedicated to industrial automation and information. At the core of our industrial Internet of Things is a well-tested, well-proven set of capabilities ranging from our ability to connect to any type of industrial automation data source, the necessary edge compute and streaming analytics and gateway functions to securely move that information to our cloud platform, the actual cloud platform that gives us the ability to store the data and provide significant new insights, leverage our data model to organize, provide context for, and present that data, and then last but not least, a broad range of cross-platform set of user experiences that enable different types of roles from operators to corporate executives to create insights and value from that data. And over the next few slides, I'll share with you our capabilities at each one of these levels, as well as how we talk to customers about these and the technologies that we use in the process from a variety of different sources. As I mentioned, the core value proposition for this capability starts when we're able to connect to the wide range of manufacturing data sources across all different industries. There's typically a maturity journey that begins with the visibility and the ability to do remote monitoring for these disparate assets, the ability to more cost effectively support those assets, and then drive a predictive maintenance strategy for those assets. At an operations level, we provide the means to drive and improve asset performance. So right down to the individual piece of equipment, provide visibility to how that asset is performing in the field, different KPIs like OEE and mean time to repair, mean time between failure, the ability to track and manage consumables for those assets, and last but not least, on the operations side, provide multi-tenant visibility for your supply chain. In other words, for folks within the firewall as well as for folks outside of your firewall, providing the right level and the right granularity of visibility and information to everybody in your value stream to more effectively perform your role and support the operation. From an engineering perspective, this enables an effective strategy to minimize manufacturing IT and reduce the complexity and the customization efforts throughout the organization when it comes to this idea of collecting and storing and using data for different purposes in your operation. Longer term visibility, improving your product and process design, and obviously scaling more effectively, starting at a site or at an individual piece of equipment and then scaling throughout the enterprise as appropriate. And then from a financial perspective, the ability to manage your costs more effectively, predict your costs, move your costing from a capital expenditure line item to an operational expenditure line item, and support the different business processes much more effectively throughout the organization. We talk about enhancing business processes, whether it's at the individual asset level, whether it's at the service level agreement management, or whether it's more effective resource planning or lifecycle management. In effect, virtually every aspect of your organization will be more effectively managed and operating more effectively with a solution like this, where the information is much more broadly exposed throughout the organization, and virtually every role in the organization can have visibility to exactly the data that they need to support their role. This is a different view of that, in essence, depicting how we can move information from the entire supply chain, from the entire value chain of the manufacturing operations process. And once that information is in our public cloud platform, we then make that information visible and available to every sanctioned stakeholder. You have full control over who owns that data and how that data is made visible and to whom it's made visible. But effectively, as we've tried to depict here, whether it's for your remote support personnel, whether it's through your value-added resellers, your distributors, your channel that would make better use of and be able to better support their customers using this data, whether it's your equipment suppliers, integration with your utilities, your actual customers, the different organizations inside your business, everyone now in effect has access to a long-term view, not just in real time, but throughout whatever level of history to this data, and can use that data to support their role. Now to take a deeper dive look at the architecture itself. The first layer is obviously the gateway, the ability to connect to these industrial automation data sources, and in whatever range of environments, move that data securely to the cloud, whether it's via a cellular signal, a satellite signal, a LAN, a wireless network, whether it's a small appliance, or whether it's an industrial PC on the machine, or whether it's an industrial data center. Depending on your requirements, depending on how much data needs to be moved, we have a scalable gateway service that suits virtually every application you can imagine. There are a variety of different ingress and egress adapters. We leverage the Microsoft IoT Hub for data transport. We also have a number of other means to move the data into our cloud platform. As you can see here, we support basic functions like store and forward, remote orchestration, data management, etc., together with what we can do at the cloud platform level. The bottom line is that we have the ability to connect to these data sources and effectively move small chunks of data or significant high volume, high bandwidth, high fidelity data to the cloud platform for whatever purposes we require at that level. The cloud gateway moves the data to our platform. This is where we store and contextualize, cleanse the data, aggregate the data, and then do what we need to more effectively organize it and expose it to various roles in various parts of the organization. We have a significant data model here where we can use this data model to organize the data, to provide structured access to that data, and for those applications that require data from us, we can expose the data and aggregate that data as a function of that data model and make it programmatically very simple to get access to that data. And then from a client perspective, using a variety of different means to bring that data, that intelligence to different types of users, whether it's individuals, whether it's systems that need that data. We have a wide-ranging set of tools, dashboards for reporting, different types of environments to administrate and configure the system. We have a device management environment to ensure that we effectively manage all of those different gateway devices that are deployed in the field so that we can ensure that they're secure, ensure that they're updated and effectively doing what they're supposed to be doing in the field. And then obviously integrating with third parties for predictive analytics, for business system access, etc. So these are a variety of different client environments that we expose for you through different means. Probably the most typically used client options include our manufacturing operations dashboard environment, which are essentially used for real-time displays in the context of your operation. We have a simple, well-integrated Power BI connector that enables us to move this data in context to Power BI for you to use in a much more historic and visual analytical environment, and then obviously moving that data and exposing that data through our data model to a variety of different third parties for integration and access at that level. I won't spend much time on this other than to say that at each one of these layers, at the gateway level, at the server level, and at the client level, we offer significant extensibility. In other words, we provide means for standard access to our system, but there's also a number of different ways to get at the data through the gateway, through our server, and through the client using the extensible APIs and services that we expose you to. From an analytics perspective, obviously we talk about scalable analytics for operations in these 4 different dimensions, typically a framework that Gartner has created for us, describing descriptively what's happened and diagnostically why did it happen. The end goal ultimately being to predict when will failure happen and then become more prescriptive about what I should do to avoid this happening in the first place. And that's sort of the objective for many of our customers, to aid in their decision support, but ultimately get to the point where we can create the decision automation mechanism to automate the process of predicting and acting on that prediction to avoid equipment failure. So that's at the root of our analytics strategy. We do much of the former, the diagnostic and descriptive analytics, through our typical user interface, but we leverage tools like Azure Machine Learning and Power BI for many of the other visual and predictive diagnostics, predictive analytics needs. And we do that through a standard set of interfaces where our products, our platforms, the Rockwell automation portfolio is integrated or has a series of integration capabilities that make it very simple to browse and drill into and expose the data within Power BI. I thought I'd end with a couple of simple customer examples across multiple different industries and multiple enterprise organizations. This is an example of a fracking truck manufacturer in Texas, an organization that decided to cloud enable their fleet of fracking trucks in order to differentiate themselves from their competition, but also to create a greater level of accountability for how these trucks are maintained in the field, and in the process being able to support these trucks with consumable items like filters, oil filters, air filters, etc. And in the process, again, ensure that these trucks are being properly maintained in the field, and that these assets, these fracking assets, are being used to their full potential, and where they fail, where they're predicting failure, that they can look from a corporate perspective, look in at the asset and support the local operator in driving greater efficiency and preventing failure. This is one of the big super majors that's building liquid natural gas retail stations around the world. We are significantly along the way to cloud enabling those LNG retail stations, providing both a maintenance function but also a consumable visibility function where we can provide them with visibility to exactly what the real-time status is of the retail station, as well as all of the materials that are being consumed, allowing them to, over the longer term, predict consumption behaviors, consumption patterns, and obviously on the actual physical infrastructure there locally, ensure that they're aware at all times how the physical equipment's performing, and over time predicting failure for that equipment. This is a large food and bev manufacturer here in the United States. Their objective was to create a standard set of dashboards using a standard set of KPIs, looking at production, looking at quality, looking at safety and morale. Some of this data coming from their equipment, some of the data coming from their quality systems, some of the data coming directly from SAP, but ultimately being presented to both the plant leadership as well as corporate leadership, again, to provide a common set of reports and dashboards to compare performance, to analyze performance, and then federated at a corporate level to drive long-term investment strategies for their capital expenditures. Last but not least, Rockwell Automation has taken this platform and created an offering for our machine builder partners called FactoryTalk Analytics for Machines. This is a very simple, low-cost opportunity for our machine builders to take this capability, put a small gateway device on every one of their machines, and literally within hours connect that machine to this cloud platform, and being able then to manage that equipment, monitor that equipment, provide a service level agreement of support for that equipment, and help their customers ensure asset optimization, ensure that that asset is performing at the right level, and ultimately provide a much better and a much more richly functioning machine for their customers. So with that, that's the end of my presentation. I look forward to answering any questions. If there's an opportunity for us to engage with you, please let us know. Thank you.